Welcome to the Green Nurse Podcast, monthly clinical conversations where we bring hope and inspiration for growth and healing. We're here to change the dialogue and stigma around what it means to feel good or be high. Hence the H for hope, I for inspiration, G for growth, and H for healing. It's okay to feel good. Everyone deserves to feel good, and so do you. Happy 420 month, or what I like to say is Happy Endocannabinoid System Month. April 2024 has been deemed National Cancer Prevention and Early Detection Month. And today we're going to take a deep dive into cannabis as medicine for cancer patients with one of our updated presentations that Elisabeth will be presenting to a cancer support group in the next week. But first, here is a little video about what we do in the cannabis space as nurses, and then we're going to get right into the show and get started. We are partners in healthcare.
Change the paradigm of healthcare.
The Green Nurse is a holistic cannabis nurse that teaches on the endocannabinoid system and the safe utilization of cannabis and other progressive tools to help people reach a better quality of life.
I'm the founder of Holistic Caring. We're based here in California, and we do educational programs and case management for patients on how to use cannabis therapeutically as a medicine.
We're also here to decrease stigma around what it means to feel good and be high, hence the H for hope, I for inspiration, G for growth, and H for healing.
As the founder of Holistic Caring, I basically oversee the whole ship. And what we're doing is progressive education.
Cannabis actually supports all 11 organ systems, our immune system, and all the neurotransmitter signaling systems that give messages to tell our body to either do something or not do something. Because the plant was prohibited, it prevented health professionals, doctors and nurses from learning about cannabis as medicine.
I want to change the paradigm of healthcare and us paving the way into a new vanguard of medicine.
It's about education, it's about empowerment, it's about teaching people how to feel good, bridging the gap from what they're not getting from traditional medicine, utilizing different plant medicines, adaptogens, tips, tricks, hugs, and nugs of information to support and nourish the most important system in our body.
And it's a lot of soul work, a lot of love, a lot of discipline, and meditation. I'm using my life work as a testimony to others to learn how they can be their own hero and then go help heal the world.
And we are, as nurses, the game changers.
Well, there you go. Growing in health, growing in cannabis. Welcome, welcome, everyone. The Green Nurse Podcast, Clinical Conversations Webcast came about when Nurse Elisabeth and I merged our companies, Holistic Caring and the Green Nurse, alongside Bloom Hemp, creating Holistic Caring Network. Clinical Conversations explores all aspects of how to optimize cannabis as medicine. Elisabeth's favorite quote is, "People are making great medicines. People are selling these amazing plant formulations, yet no one is truly interpreting how to use cannabis as medicine." And that is what we do. But before we get started on our presentation, we do have a special message from our sponsor, which I am going to pull up and read. And so today's show is brought to you by Bloom Hemp. Bloom Hemp is a woman and nurse-owned national CBD supplier, leading with quality, safety, value, and patient-centered care. Bloom Hemp products are USDA organic, grown in the mountains of Colorado, and tested for purity, potency, cannabinoid, and terpene profiles. Bloom Hemp is very proud to offer a nurse line. You can call 970-404-HOPE, and nurses will answer questions how and why CBD works in the body. And Bloom Hemp is also offering a free care plan for patients as well. So visit bloomhemp.com, Green Nurse for 10% off and free shipping. All right, there we go. Blooming in health, Bloom Hemp. So, very, very excited here. Elisabeth, we've been nurses for a very long time. I've been a nurse for 35 years. You've been a nurse for 36 years.
Yeah.
Yeah. And I've also done when I worked in the conventional system, I also did oncology nursing. And so I have worked with patients in and out of the hospital, taking care of them as an oncology nurse. And now in the cannabis arena, we get a lot of questions. There's, should I use cannabis? Should I not use cannabis? And we have a slide deck. So Elisabeth's going to be presenting.
Yep.
At the
This is a preview for the show that I'm going to be doing next week for the Cancer Support Center in Los Angeles.
There you go. So the Cancer Support Center in Los Angeles. So we're going to go through this slide deck today. If you have any questions, please feel free to pop your questions in the comment section and we'll get to them at the end. I do have a case study to share at the end, but for now we're going to get started and let Elisabeth get started on the
slides. Okay. Well, okay. Thank you, Nurse Sherri, and welcome everybody to this special presentation of our clinical conversations where we're going to just talk about cancer. What is cancer? How does conventional care treat cancer? What is some of the research about cannabis and cancer? And how might a patient that has cancer use cannabinoids to their best benefit? So just to define cancer, it's a disease of overgrowing cells. It affects everyone without boundaries. And carcinogenesis is when cancer cells are created. They ignore the signals to control growth or to die when they are sick. And so they end up multiplying, dividing, and DNA mistakes cause more abnormalities. 50% of all men and 33% of all women may develop some type of cancer in their lifetime. That includes a lot of skin cancers, so it's not necessarily big cancers, but nevertheless, there's about 200 different types of cancer, and cancers can spread from their point of origin through the circulatory and the lymphatic system, affecting other sites in the body. So what does conventional care generally do for us if we have cancer? Surgery, chemotherapy, radiation, targeted therapy, and immunotherapy are really the holy grail of treatment options, and they rotate through these things. Yeah, there you go. Okay, so they rotate through them, and all of those treatments can cause side effects, right? We see a lot of patients in our practice that have a lot of these side effects: nausea and vomiting from the chemo, fatigue and insomnia from chemo and from other things, anxiety and coping issues, weight loss, neuropathies, body aches, pain, lymphedema, early menopause, apathy, all kinds of things. And really our job is to help listen to patients and meet them where they're at and say, here's what you're doing and here's what we might be able to help you with. So when we think about cancer and cannabis options, the options are numerous. But people really need to understand this a little bit first. So we're going to go through some of, how cannabis came into view. Of course, we've talked about this many times in different shows as far as the history of cannabis. But cannabis has been with us since 10,000 years ago when early humans were using cannabis as a medical option. Fast forward to 2024, we've got 38 medical states and 24 adult use. There's one on the fringe right now. But the good thing is that cannabis nursing has been designated a specialty, and the Health and Human Services and the FDA are both petitioning the DEA to reschedule cannabis to a Schedule 3, which would allow clinicians to research it fully, as well as to develop medications that are able to treat cancer and more options. So what is cannabis? Cannabis is a healing plant, right? It's a plant. We know it grows outside. It has about 1,500 natural compounds in it. Most of those are cannabinoids and terpenes. Cannabis is influenced by the strain, the soil, the climate, and cultivation techniques. And my favorite word, pleiotropic. This is where it's a workhorse at many different things. Cannabis is not a snake oil. It can work for pain, anxiety, nausea, appetite, sleep, all of those things. Instead of using those different medications, you can use cannabinoids all for one purpose. And I call that very effective efficiency. And it does all of these things to the body because of the endocannabinoid system. And the endocannabinoid system is in all of our nerves and our immune cells. It's really on every cell surface in our body. And it's a feedback mechanism. And there's CB1 in the brain and the central channel. It's a main cannabinoid receptor that our body endogenously interacts with. Anandamide and 2-AG are two endocannabinoids. And THC and CBD and some of the other cannabinoids also influence these cannabinoid receptors. CB2 are on our immune cells and in the periphery, and cannabinoids can influence those as well. And this endocannabinoid system was discovered because we were researching THC and CBD back in the 60s in the cradle of research in Israel, where the NIH funded Dr. Raphael Mechoulam. And they found that the endocannabinoid system is a homeostatic regulator of all of our 11 body systems at the cellular level. And it does this through retrograde signaling. So it's just messaging. Normally we have one-way transmission, and the endocannabinoid systems reply back and say to adjust something up or down in our need to come back to balance, whatever that might be at that cell. And we produce these endocannabinoids on demand just in a second. They fulfill their purpose and then they dissipate. But it's like a lock and key. So the receptors are like a lock. The cannabinoids are a key. They plug in, they accomplish their function, and then the enzymes degrade them. And when the body is not making enough endocannabinoids, we run into trouble. And we have deficiency. And now it's like when you take a vitamin D to raise your vitamin D levels, sometimes you need some cannabis and cannabinoids to raise your endocannabinoid tone so that your body can restore balance. And this is just a depiction of some of the body systems that are influenced and the retrograde signaling of that return message saying, hey, I need to adjust the flow of something here in the neuron. And then that's what the endocannabinoids do. And THC can plug in and fulfill the purpose when we're running short on anandamide or 2-AG. And this is a famous phrase by Vincent Damarzo. He's a scientist in Italy, that coined the term eat, sleep, relax, forget, protect. And this is the importance of the endocannabinoid system to our health and how it governs all of these different functions. And again, it goes to the pleiotropic nature. This is why cannabis works on so many different things, because the endocannabinoid system affects every single one of our physiological functions. And it's complementary. When people come to us and say, how do I use cannabis? Is it something that's going to replace all these pharmaceuticals? Maybe in time, but for now, just introduce it on the side and give yourself a little bit of a buffer, come back to balance, and then talk to your physicians about how you want to maybe go forward. But it's a natural product that your body recognizes because it plugs into this system that we know. It can be very gentle with proper use, and it's palliative. So it helps us relieve discomfort. It's safer than most of the other pharmaceuticals, and it gives us that body, mind, spirit healing that pharmaceuticals do not, right? It can adjust us on an emotional level just as much as it does on the physical, and that is key for healing. So when we talk about cannabis for cancer, is it palliative or is it curative? There are people that come to us and say, hey, I heard if I take a gram a day of oil, I'm going to beat this cancer. And some people do very successfully. Some people don't. But for all people, it can be palliative. And it can help them come back to a good set point where they can make better decisions, heal, have a good meal with their family, watch a movie, laugh, maybe sleep a little bit better. And that sort of thing. So the scientists are working on how to use cannabis for curative, but right now we're talking about palliative. And when we look at what cannabis might be able to do in the body, it can trigger something called apoptosis. And cannabinoids seem to be the ideal solution to a biological repair of the cancer cells in these mutations by shutting down the genes that are spreading cancer, as well as making that cancer cell turn off and die again, which is apoptosis. We have a certain born date and an end date on our cells, and when they get to that 90 days or so end, they're supposed to have signals that say you're diseased, you need to go away. And cancer cells are able to mutate and turn that off. And what we want to do is reprogram it to die and go away. And that's how cannabinoids might be able to shrink tumor cells.
And this slide.
Yeah, and this this is the four different ways. So apoptosis, turning those cancer cells off again. Angiogenesis, basically putting that cancer cell under siege and not allowing it to get the nutrients by shutting down VEGF and the feeders of tumors. It can be anti-metastatic and helping it not spread, and anti-proliferative, making it not grow. And then all of the palliative ways that we just discussed on how you can use cannabis. And we'll get to that again in a moment. There are physical benefits, which are numerous, right? Reducing pain and muscle tension, nausea and vomiting, stimulating appetite, balancing the bowel activity, immune support and balancing, lowering stress hormones and cortisol, improving mobility and helping reduce pain, soothing the nervous system, skin breakdown and moisturizing the skin, and also peripheral neuropathy, which is very, very common for cancer patients. And most importantly, it can reduce the reliance on opioids so that people are not so dazed from those drugs and dealing with constipation and other issues. And on the mental side, it can decrease anxiety, increase relaxation, aid sleep, and decrease fatigue, giving people boosts of energy, the ability to laugh and respond to humor, an overall feeling of well-being and reduced isolation, improved body image, and a sense of calm despite external chaos. So your internal set point, your homeostasis is more balanced. And then patient empowerment and self-determination. Having a toolkit, which we're going to talk about in a moment, is very empowering to patients where they have their own options for what they want to do to feel better in the moment. And so the National Academy of Science and Engineering has ruled that cannabinoids are effective antiemetics in the treatment of chemotherapy-induced nausea and vomiting. So this is proven. They've got lots of studies. And in fact, Marinol or dronabinol is our synthetic version of THC, and they can prescribe that in conventional care for patients that have chemotherapy-induced nausea and vomiting. Of course, we can use Sativex, which is a 1-to-1 oil in 30 different countries, basically in the EU states. They have approved this 1-to-1. So it's half CBD, half THC. GW Pharmaceuticals, now Jazz Pharmaceuticals, introduced this alongside Temodar, which is a first-line treatment for glioblastoma. And they found that it was able to increase survival rate by 30% for the patients that were using this drug alongside the chemotherapy. So it might have enhanced the chemotherapy effects. And it can enhance chemotherapy effects. And so what we want to do is teach patients to use cannabinoids with the immunotherapy and chemotherapy very carefully. Sometimes because chemotherapy is enhanced by CBD and THC, we want to give it within a window of time and maybe abstain during chemotherapy days so that the chemo is not too strong and getting too toxic. Sometimes you can take low-dose chemotherapy with CBD and do just fine. But this is something you need to talk about with your physician. And then with respect to immunotherapy, there's a lot of pros and cons with this, but immunotherapy is inflaming the immune system. It's trying to fire up the body to fight these cancer cells and inflame things. And cannabinoids can be anti-inflammatory. And so what we try to do is give them synergistically, but in low dosing. So 25 milligrams or less of THC per day. And a lot of people will break that up and have a couple of small doses. But taking that alongside the immunotherapy seems to be safe. And this is a study done by breastcancer.org. They found that 42% of their respondents have been using cannabinoids for relief of symptoms, including pain, insomnia, anxiety, stress, nausea, and vomiting. 49% believed that it could treat the cancer itself. 79% used it during their treatments, and only 39% had discussed it with any of their physicians. So if you're a client out there that is, wanting to use cannabis and treat it for your cancer, be sure to talk to your physician about it so that you have a discussion. And, most patients believe that cannabis was safe and were unaware of product quality. And what we teach people is really, Green Nurse approved, and we'll come to that in a moment as far as what quality is, but you want to make sure it's lab tested, it's regulated, USDA organic if possible. This is a plant and it can pick up things in the soils and toxins, and we want to make sure that people are using the right medicines. And so really talk to your clinician, talk to a cannabis nurse when you can find one.
And I'm going to interject here. And if you have difficulty talking to your doctors and your clinicians, you can call us. Yeah. We do not have a problem picking up the phone, speaking to your physicians and your clinicians to teach them and educate them.
Yeah, we talk to our clients' physicians all the time. And we love that when we can, if they're open to it. So, and this is just, I love to point out that we're spending $600 million on cancer drugs with no clinical benefit in this country every year. Just because it's FDA approved doesn't mean it's effective. And just because cannabis isn't FDA approved doesn't mean it's not effective, right? And that's what we need to have an open discussion about.
And according to the FDA, only FDA approved medicines can make any claims to cure, treat, or prevent a disease. Let that sink in.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. All right. And this is just a resource. Please go to this website. So the NIH at cancer.gov has a really extensive cannabis and cannabinoids section. There's a consumer version and a professional version. And if you just visit cancer.gov, you'll be able to look at cannabis and cannabinoids. And please read it because it's a plethora of content.
And we will be putting a slide in the show notes after with a bunch of different links for resources for you all.
Cool. And this is just to say that the NIH is starting to fund cannabis research. This came out as an announcement 2 years ago, but we're still just getting started. There are a lot of roadblocks and issues with prohibition, holding things up. But they're really looking at how cannabinoids are affecting the cellular signaling, how it's to be used concurrently with other conventional care, what the biological mechanisms are, and really how this is going to play forward. So just know that research is coming.
It's coming.
And this is, when we talk about cannabinoids, it's not just CBD and THC. Those are the two main cannabinoids. THC is an active agent at CB1 and CB2 with a direct agonism, which means it binds to those receptors straight in. CBD is nudging about 70 different receptors all over the body. Our GABA, our glutamate, our serotonin, our GABA, our pain receptors, our trip receptors, all of those things. And that is why CBD might be good for neuropathies. But there are lots of other cannabinoids, CBG, CBN, THCA, CBDA, CBGA. Those are the acidic compounds before they're heated or decarboxylated. And what we want to do is teach patients to use all of these together to accomplish the entourage effect, where 1 + 1 + 1 is not 3, it's more like 20 in the synergistic effects.
Yep, synergy.
And CBD and THC are the power couple, right? And so when we think about Sativax, which is the 1-to-1 oil approved in all of the EU nation and the British Empire, for pretty much all around the world, CBD is able to soften the effects of THC, and CBD also enhances the effects of THC, and then THC affects the CBD efficacy as well. So it's a lot of times somebody will say, I tried CBD and it didn't work for me. You may need to add a little bit of THC from a broad spectrum to a full spectrum, or microdoses of THC, and then that way you can use them together. And we tell patients that there are ratio products to help maximize the benefits and minimize the harms of any kind of impairment that THC can cause directly.
And the ratio that they have seen to be most therapeutic across the board is the 1-to-1 ratio. Mm-hmm. 1 part CBD to 1 part THC.
Yes. And these are just some of the routes that are available in a dispensary. So when we say cannabis is not one thing, we mean it. You don't just have to smoke a joint, right? That's the good old days. But there's so much more today, and we're going to go through a few of these in depth. So inhalation is the first route, and the good thing about inhalation is when you do inhale these compounds into the lungs, goes in through the bloodstream almost immediately. Onset is within minutes, and duration is relatively short as well. So 1 to 3 hours. We always tell patients take 1 puff, wait a few minutes, assess, do I need another one? And then repeat every couple of hours. But it gives you that rapid relief for nausea, angst, and pain. So if you're in a pain flare, if you're having nausea, take a small puff and see if that might work. Vaporization is better than combustion, which is a vape pen or dry herb vaporizers versus just smoking a joint. And inhalation grants access to terpenes. So if you do grind up some flower and put that in your dry herb vaporizer, you can look at some of these strains or chemovars And then you can ask the bud tenders what terpenes they have available. So linalool can calm, limonene and pinene can provide some energy and clarity. And beta-caryophyllene is a wonderful terpene that you want to include in just about every formulation you find, because it activates CB2 on our immune cells and is very anti-inflammatory on its own. Tinctures, these are our favorite way to get people started. This is where you drop some of these drops under the tongue. There's a vein there that it can be absorbed in, as well as coating the surface area of your mouth and allowing it just to sit in there and absorb right through the oral mucosal membranes into the bloodstream. And then, of course, you swallow and the balance goes through digestion. But oral onset is about 15 minutes, maybe 30 minutes, and duration about 4 to 6 hours. It gives you the ability to have consistent dosing. All of the droppers have little graduated numbers on them, so you can see 0.25, 0.5, 0.75, and know what you're getting in a specific dose. And then make sure that you're really looking at the potency of the bottle, because some bottles will be 300 milligrams, some bottles will be 3,000 milligrams. And what the client needs to know is this 10 milligrams or is it 100 milligrams? Because it'll play very differently in the body.
And the goal is to take the least amount to get the most therapeutic response below the threshold of being impaired.
Mm-hmm.
Absolutely.
And a topical, this was my introduction when I had shoulder surgery to a good CBD topical, but these are wonderful to be using as somebody that is having pain, maybe radiation burns, mobility issues. It really is something that can give you quick relief within 5 to 10 minutes. Duration is about 3 to 4 hours, so you have to apply fairly often after a shower, at bedtime to help you sleep. But it does lower the inflammation and the pain signaling on the skin, because there are receptors in our skin for these compounds. And neuropathies are another good reason to be using CBD. So tincture on the inside for the systemic reduction of inflammation, and topical on the outside. And a transdermal patch is something that you can find at most dispensaries. The patches are a good, what we call basal dosing. So it's a continuous dose, right? You put a patch on, sometimes on the wrist, on the thin areas of your skin, sometimes directly over the surface area that's bothering you, but it seeps the cannabinoids down through the dermis into the bloodstream to get systemic activation, and it can give you that long-term dosing. So put it on, you're going to have effects within about 20 minutes and going up to about 24 to 48 hours. So these are some terms that we teach people on dispensaries. That is a retail shop where patients can purchase cannabis, and many of them look like Apple stores nowadays. And the bud tenders are not clinicians; they are a sales employee that will show you products that may help. But you can't go in there and say, "What do I use for neuropathy?" That's when you need to call us, and we'll help you then go to the shop and then make sense of the products that they have there. Indica is generally the relaxing type of strains. Sativa is more energizing, and hybrid is a combination. So that is something that you're going to want to pay attention to, especially with inhalation. Make sure that all of these products have a certificate of analysis or a COA. Only use medicine that is tested for potency and purity. And then the Rick Simpson oil, or RSO, that's a colloquial known term that people say this is the oil that you need to buy 1 gram a day and take it for 60 to 90 days. That is something, again, call the nurse line and we'll talk about whether or not that's needed, but generally it's not. It's overshooting, giving people too much oil and may not be, it's expensive and it may not be what is warranted.
And there's a lot of new research out that a lot of the other cannabinoids are just as beneficial as the THC. So we are going to be talking about the book Cannabis and Cancer that was written by Dr. Joe Goldstrich, and he has amazing protocols in there.
Yeah, the Cannabis Cancer Connection is the book, and you can buy that on Amazon, and there are specific protocols, but it's THC, CBD, and CBG for the most part, wheeling in CBN, and then the acidic version, CBDA, THCA, CBGA, and so it's more than just the THC, always.
More than just the THC, absolutely.
Side effects are all dose dependent, and generally we're talking about side effects with respect to THC. So dizziness, disorientation, intensified awareness, short-term memory impairment, anxiety, slow reactions, low blood pressure, low blood sugar, tachycardia, bronchodilation, sedation, muscle relaxation. And as Sherri says, some of these side effects might be effects that somebody wants to increase the appetite, to decrease some of the muscle spasms and that sort of thing that somebody might have. And then with CBD, generally, as somebody's acclimating, they might have a little bit of dizziness and a little bit of dry mouth, but then you can just make sure that you're well hydrated and that you're fed. And cannabinoids are lipophilic, which means they're fat loving. And if you have your CBD oil with some food, healthy fats, they're going to work better, give you about 4 to 5 times the bioavailability. And then make sure that you're separating the cannabinoids from the pharmaceuticals by about an hour or so. So take the drugs first, wait an hour, have some good food and fluids in between, and then take your cannabinoids after that so that the liver compatibility works without interactions. And just know that there is no lethal dose. No matter what, nobody's died from cannabis directly because there are no receptors in the brainstem that controls our cardiorespiratory functions that these activate. And then if you do have too much THC, you can take a little bit CBD, black pepper, lemon, food and fluids, get outside, get some fresh air. So safety precautions, there's a phrase in this industry, start low, go slow. Always start with CBD. And then you can fold in ratio products. So a good full spectrum CBD is a 20-to-1 oil. So 20 parts CBD, 1 part THC. And then as you acclimate, you can take it a 4-to-1 and then the 1-to-1, which is the workhorse. And use these for daytime and nighttime as well. So 20-to-1 during the day, 1-to-1 during the evening. Keep your dosing 10 to 500 milligrams, depending on what you're using. There's a sweet spot for everybody, and you have to find that with a little bit of trial and experiment. So take with food and stay hydrated. Don't drive while you're acclimating to THC. And then with vaporization, have somebody around for the first time that you ever try it, just in case you get a little anxious and somebody can be a source of calm. And then always be hopeful.
Safety
first. And the medicalized approach, that's what we do at Holistic Caring and the Green Nurse, because, first we have to do an assessment. Who are you? What do you need to do? What are your goals and objectives? What are you treating? What are some of the things you've already done in conventional care? And how do we supplement that? A holistic assessment, your nutrition, your connection, your movement, your spirituality, your joys, your hopes, your fears, all of that comes into play when we're treating patients. And then we need education, right? What are these different cannabinoids? What are the different routes of administration? What is the basic dosing and the titration schedule to get started? And then how do you track and gauge how this is working for you and giving that ongoing support? And this is literally what we do with every patient appointment. That's the format. So yeah. And then this is our tracking log. I created this probably, 8 years ago, working with patients 1 to 10. These are my gauges, right? What is the pain level today? And then we're going to check that again in another week or two. Anxiety, memory, focus, joy, mood, energy, sleep, blood pressure, blood sugar, and then dosing. That's correlated. So we can see the trends. And then week by week, we can say, okay, let's modify this to get you a little bit further along towards your expectations and see how we can affect that.
And then the dosing, we teach stacking. And so we teach different ways of consuming multiple different products to keep costs low.
Yeah, absolutely. And next slide, which I think has cost. Yeah. So this is, and patients need all of them. And Nurse Sherri on the stacking is critical because everybody needs a tincture or two. Everybody needs some microdosed edibles, a vape for that immediacy, and a topical for the outside, right? So this is what, and I tell people to budget about $150 a month to get started on this and to have a good treatment plan. And that is not covered by insurance yet, but hopefully one day it will be once we're rescheduled.
And if you are in a place where you can grow your own, it's very, very beneficial that you can make your own. You can grow your own cannabis and make your own products.
And I know also at Bloom Hemp, we accept HSA cards as well. And so patients are using HSA funds when they are going to checkout. And that's working for many people. Okay. And so this is just, an example of whole person care. And I love Wayne Jonas. He is a integrative physician out on the East Coast. And if we look at this side, this is really, where people are. This is a lot of what they've got going on. And on the right side is what we really need to address. And so there's exercise, nutrition, acupuncture, counseling, social support, sleep, depression, early palliative care. That is really where we need to focus. And it's meeting people where they are. It's not just symptom, drug, which is what conventional care does. Whole person care really gets somebody in with a hope note instead of just a soap note, and treats them early on as a whole person. And that's how we try to do it here.
Biopsychosocial spiritual.
Yeah. Yeah. We say that all the time. And then be your own advocate and find a good team. This is something that's really necessary because people are not getting whole person care. So you have to put together your own team, seek out providers that will take time to talk to you about whole person health. Conventional care providers are often discouraged talking to patients about complementary care. And I was on a webinar a couple of weeks ago here in America, but this is an international group. And it says in the UK, it is illegal to use the term healing in the context of cancer care with complementary or whole person approaches. How would you recommend we position healing over here? And isn't that sad, right? It's really a sad state of affairs. And this is international. So this book, Healing with Cancer, Wayne Jonas is publishing this month, and it goes through all of those impacts that patients need access and information to understand and apply into their own context. And that's it on my side. So thank you for bearing with me and giving me that practice run there, Sherri. So now it's your turn to talk about Marta.
We're going to talk a little bit about a patient that I took care of. It was very interesting. So I did a lecture for hospice, and I lectured to nurses and case managers, and we were talking about end-of-life care. So I've done oncology nursing, I've done hospice nursing, and this was way back in Massachusetts, back in 2016 and 17, when I did a presentation on how cannabinoids could help cancer patients and help those at the end of life as well. So I was called by a social worker to come see Marta. Marta, I'm going to show you a little video on her in a minute, and she's going to just share a little story because she was going to be part of a documentary. So Marta came to me in a wheelchair, unable to eat, unable to walk. She had stage 4 pancreatic cancer. They were unable to resect her tumor. She failed chemo. She failed radiation. She was sent home on hospice to die. She was unable to eat. She was unable to walk. She had severe pain, severe insomnia, and she was at the end of her life. So when I met with her, her family had bought all kinds of cannabis products, and there we were all sitting. And I just spent some time alone with Marta to find out what was important to her. Where was she at? And she just basically said to me, Sherri, I just want to have a good death. I've come to terms that this is the end of my life. I just want to sleep a little bit better. I want to have a little bit of pain management, and I want to have some quality time with my friends and family if I can. So basically what we started to do is we started to just dose her to manage her symptoms, of pain and manage her symptoms of sleep. And so we used full extract cannabis oil. We did 100 milligrams of CBD, full extract cannabis oil, in divided doses during the daytime. And then at nighttime, she did 20 milligrams of THC. She started off with 10, and then we increased her to 20 at bedtime with the CBD full extract cannabis oil. And then she did a lot of topical lotions applied liberally to her sore body. So what ended up happening is, as I'm working with this family, Marta's not dying. Marta's getting better. So after 5 months of taking low dose cannabis, no evidence of disease. She called me up on the phone and she said, Sherri, they cannot find the cancer anymore. They're puzzled. They don't understand. They keep looking and they can't find it. So basically she finally got the, no evidence of disease, and cannabis saved her life. And then we had to work with helping her to come off of some of the other pharmaceuticals that she was on. We also had to dive into spiritual work, because if you can imagine going from death and dying to alive and thriving, that can be really, really hard on a patient's psyche, and having to really hold space for her to be in a space of being okay with what had happened. So dosing today. So today she's cancer-free. She takes a total of 50 milligrams of CBD full extract cannabis oil daily. She takes beta-caryophyllene tincture twice a day. She does CBD topicals every day, and she does 1-to-1 oil as needed. Very, very powerful, and she still remains in remission. I'm going to pull down this really quickly slide, and I'm going to share another screen because I want you to see. We interviewed Marta for a documentary, and I want you all to hear what Marta had to say when she was interviewed. And this is Marta. Marta has another shot at life. So let's see how this goes. Question is there, if there's anyone out there that has cancer and is considering cannabis, what would you tell them?
Try, because work really for me, and it's true, it's working. So why not? Doesn't make you worse, doesn't give you any side effect that all my medication that I was taking was given to me. I was really sleeping all day and not doing anything. I didn't have any energy to do anything. Not only I was down with my, I was not happy. So, but I was seeing that I couldn't do anything. My husband was washing the dishes. He was trying to cook. I was not able to walk for a period. When I finished my radiation, I was on a wheelchair. Now I cook like crazy. I live again. I see my grandkids. I saw my oldest one is an engineer now, and it's unbelievable. I have another life. I had another shot of life.
There you go. Remove.
Wow.
Right? Another shot at life. Marta, isn't that amazing? And so the part that's so cool about Marta's story. Ooh. Remove. I'm not sure. Oh, goodness.
Let's go. Just close this.
Sorry about that.
There
Okay,
we
wasn't
go.
expecting that. We had a commercial from a random. Woohoo! Back to Marta. So, anyways, getting back to Marta's story. So, when we had Marta come out to the farm and we did some recording, she was doing a recording for an interview. She shared with me, I got to meet her husband again. And her husband pretty much gave me a high five and was very excited because Marta put him on the exact protocol that she was on. He was also diagnosed with cancer, and his cancer is also in remission. So very, very powerful story of using cannabinoids and how we were truly looking at the palliative approach of working with her. It wasn't about curing, it was about palliating, and it was about giving her relief, giving her a better day at the end of her life. And now the side effect is she has no evidence of disease and she's living her best life.
And you never know when you're using these oils palliatively to just have a better day, when it is going to save your life. Because there are, when you think about the immune cells that are diseased and the CB2 receptors right on the surface of them, if you have the right weapons, tools, etc., to plug in, you can kill those cancer cells. And it really is just a matter of hope and trial. Okay.
And so this is a resource. So I'm going to actually put this slide with the live links underneath the show notes so that you can all have it. So this was something that Elisabeth was talking about, the Cancer and Cannabis Pocket Guide. Cancer and Cannabis Canna-Keys link is amazing. Cancer and Cannabis Project CBD, there's a ton of articles on it. Immunotherapy and Cannabis article, Project CBD. Cancer and Cannabis Connection book by Dr. Joel Goldstrich. And then we also have a lot of free resources on our side. So Holistic Caring Learning Library, which is absolutely amazing. So if you click on holisticcaring.com, you go to the Learn Library. We have conditions broken down, the endocannabinoid system broken down, terpenes, botanicals, and cannabinoids. Very, very robust platform with with links that are linked to different articles and research articles.
Yeah, as well as the program Cannabis and Cancer that we have at Holistic Caring, and some tips on Bloom products that might be useful for that particular condition, whether it's cancer, Alzheimer's, anxiety, sleep, autism, dementia, all of them.
And then we're really happy to offer at Bloom Hemp to offer a free care plan to help people get started, to wake up the endocannabinoid system, promote the relaxation response, and prepare for other therapies. So a lot of times when people get diagnosed with cancer, they don't know what to do. And CBD is safe and effective, and it's the place to start with anyone new to cannabis that has cancer. We want to promote the relaxation response. We want you to make good decisions that are going to benefit you.
Yeah. So when you visit Bloom Hemp, hit the services tab, and you'll find the intake form that we'll reply to with your tips and tricks.
Well, actually, I can just show really quickly. Let me remove this. I'm going to show you. Why not? Because
we have a little time.
Yes. So I'm going to share. So when you go to bloomhemp.com, the services tab is right here. We have a free treatment plan. You fill out the intake form, and we truly do. This is patient-centered care, right? The nurse, the doctor, the treatment team, resource material, support system, dispensary, CBD shop. We like to put it all together for you. It's never too late to live your best life.
Perfect.
All right. Free care plan at Bloom Hemp. Okay. And then we are going to wrap up here. Couple more slides, and this is what makes us a little bit different. So if you have your phone, you can hold it up, go to the shop, go to our services, USDA organic hemp, symptom targeted formulas, free nurse line, free care plan. We have a free network. If you go to holisticcaring.com, you can go into the network, and we have a lot of opportunities for education, affiliate, wholesale, and retail opportunities.
We want to reward people that would like to share our work and our products and services.
That's right. Yeah. And then this is the ecosystem at Holistic Caring. So holisticcaring.com, you go in, we have, like I said, we have a platform off of social media that's run by Jasmine Joy, who is our pharmacist, and some nurses. And so we have the free introductory to cannabis course, free patient portal to connect and chat with peers, free 7-page medical cannabis guide with newsletters, free monthly clinical conversations, webinars, and podcasts are all linked in there, free emailed care plans, etc.
Yeah, we really do enjoy doing these shows, and this is the learning library. But we put it all together for you, and we've built this for you, for our patients, for our professionals that we're working with and mentoring. And here's the professionals. So on the Holistic Caring programs, there are so many of them. The gold standard is the Cannabis Nurse Health Coach program, and you don't have to be a nurse, but because we're nurses, we can award continuing education units to nurses. So that is our flagship program, but then there's a global program, psychedelics, industry professionals, CBD wellness coach if you just want the basics, and then targeted learning. So Alzheimer's, dementia, autism, epilepsy, autoimmune, cancer, chronic pain, holistic wellness, mental health, Parkinson's, and MS. All of these are the condition. How does conventional care treat it? What does the cannabis research show as far as efficacy and potentiality on treatment? And then what is some of the ways that you might get started with the products that we went through today, and then enhancing that a little bit more per each module. You get the video, you get the slides, you get the references, and all of the patient teaching guide that we have, along with the primer, our ebook.
Yes, we've written a 50-page medical cannabis primer. So every care plan comes with that.
So packed with value.
Packed with value.
So the Cannabis Nurse Health Coach program, this is a licensing program, and we call it the business in a box. So 3 solid modules with 10 units in each, going through the fundamentals of what you need to understand, all of the different conditions cannabis can be treated with, cannabis can help treat with respect to symptom reduction and life enhancement. And then the module 3 is all about the business and costs and legalities for patients, professionals, scope and standards, coaching versus nursing, advocacy, how to get involved, understanding the regulatory environment within the cannabis industry, and then a toolkit that you can literally plug and play, customize to your practice, and use that in your delivery, along with a mastermind that we have every single month to train nurses on the best practices in clinical and business development.
And that's all run in our private network.
Yeah.
Really,
And
really
this
exciting.
month is Nurse 50. Anybody that would like to take any of these programs, they're 50% off. Use the code Nurse 50.
That's right there. Nurse 50 for 50%
Yeah,
off.
there you go.
And we're going to wrap it up. And as always, make sure you subscribe to our award-winning podcast, Hope, Inspiration, Growth, and Healing. We are truly here to change the dialogue and stigma around what it means to feel good and be high, teaching people how to have agency and to use these plant medicines effectively. This has been a great show.
It has been a great show. It was fun.
Yeah.
And thank you for letting me practice my deck for next week.
Yeah. Coming up next week, we have a lot of things coming up. So next Saturday, a week from this Saturday, is the official 420 holiday. I like to call it Endocannabinoid System Day. And we're going to be speaking at Sun City.
Yeah,
we're going to be presenting to a senior living
senior community, 5,000 residents. I wonder how many are going to show up.
5,000 seniors we're going to be presenting to on 420,
but CBD.
On CBD, that's next Saturday. But next Tuesday night, we do have a show with Sharon Letts. So there's a blog that just was released. So
yesterday.
Released yesterday.
Go to our website, holisticcaring.com, in the blog section.
Yep. And it's circulating through social media, but it's a beautiful blog written by Sharon Letts. She is an author, writer, speaker, TV, movie producer, and she is going to be coming on our podcast to share her compelling story of healing with breast cancer with cannabis, getting into details about that.
And read the blog. It's a fascinating story and a read. And
she's
really
an amazing
elucidating, growing up in central Illinois with crop dusters spraying DDT, saying it's all safe, and multiple generations dying from cancer. And we know it wasn't safe. She's alive and well today, and cannabinoids are partly to blame for that. To credit for that vibrant health now.
And I'm really, really excited to interview her. I've been reading a lot of her work. She is making a major impact on on educating and reducing stigma. Educate before you medicate. That's one of her phrases. So really, really excited. So this has been an amazing show. Thank you all for joining us. Please share our work. Come visit us at Holistic Caring in the Green Nurse and Bloom Hemp. And remember what it's all about. It is truly all about living your best life and helping others do the same. And this is one of my other favorite videos I'm going to end with.
We're here to educate and empower patients to make choices that are best for them. We're also here to decrease stigma around what it means to feel good and be high. Hence the H for hope, I for inspiration, G for growth, and H for healing. The Green Nurse is a holistic cannabis nurse that teaches on the endocannabinoid system and the safe utilization of cannabis and other progressive tools to help people reach a better quality of life.
I was cannabis agnostic for many, many years. And the more research I did, the more I discovered that cannabis is this amazing medicine.
I was told that I had a 4-stage pancreatic cancer. The doctor really told me he couldn't do anything else. He gave me her name and she called me and she came to my house. She started to give me cannabis. My oncologist was puzzled because he couldn't find the cancer anymore.
All of the learning that we get comes from the Green Nurses Group, comes from their support, comes from their guidance. I trust everything that she says.
Simply meet people where they're at. The plant doesn't, stress to grow, so we don't stress to share it. We're healing people.
Cannabis has been used as a medicine for tens upon thousands of years. Here's the big message. Cannabis needs to be federally legal. We need to have laws that are the same across all 50 states that allow access to anyone and everyone who wants to utilize this powerful medicine.